Hi, Aries Sun and Rising. Welcome to your April 2022 Astro Update. It's Rena here. Well. Um, when there is monthly activity involving the sun going into a different sign, some of those personal planets, so we're talking about Venus and Mars, Mercury, they can be staying fairly close to the sun because that's why they're personal planets. They are very fast moving, and so they kind of mimic the sun in that sense. The sun has a 30-day cycle. Venus has almost that, like 3.5 weeks, and Mercury does. Mars has a little bit longer. Now, in April, we have a new moon right off the bat on the 1st. But Venus and Mars are lagging behind, and they are still in Aquarius until, later on in the month. Well, Venus not too long afterwards. So you can see that you still are going to have some unfinished business that you need to tend to when planets go into Pisces, because that's your 12th house. So I just wanted to kind of set the table here for some of the things that are happening, because I feel like, yes, April is a green light period where most of the month you can initiate things and they will have much more cooperative energy. But you have to keep in mind that some of these personal planets are going to be in the 12th house, and they may be involved in things behind the scenes and not something that you're necessarily bringing into the world. It's interesting that we're having this new moon on the 1st, 11 degrees of Aries, because I think of the tarot and I think of the Fool card. April Fool's Day. I don't know if they have Fool's Day in the UK or other European countries or other places in the world, or if that's just an American thing. I really don't know, but I always think of April Fool's Day when I think of the Fool card, because to me it's like a new journey, and I think of Aries, since it's the first sign of the zodiac, as this new journey when we have a new moon in the first sign. Think of the universal template that you are aligned with as the first sign of the zodiac, Aries, and you can see that when there is a new moon in Aries, that is a time of absolutely new beginnings. So for those of you who have your sun at 10 degrees, 0 to 10 degrees of Aries, or your rising sign, this is actually going to be in the 12th house, and you should look to the new moon in Taurus for more information about what that's going to be for you. Actually, 11 degrees 31 minutes to be exact, if your sun or rising sign is less than that. It'll be the 12th house in your chart, and that is going to be more about new beginnings with things related to your spiritual life, or anything that you want to start that has a spiritual theme to it can be very successful at this time. For the rest of you, this is that first house, and this is a time to really look at the kind of things that you want to attract into your reality in the next 12 months. You have at least the ability to set intentions. Now, whether they come true or not is a different story, and I do think that we have to do our part, but still, some people are like, I don't know if I believe in that kind of thing. It doesn't matter, because if you look at it symbolically, you can still take advantage of that. And so anything new in your life, because the first house can be anything with your life in general. On the 5th, Venus goes into Pisces. So For the first 5 days of the month, Venus is in Aquarius, and this is carrying over from the month of March. So I'm recording this on March 12th, and then I'm looking right now to see if, yeah. So Venus is already in Aquarius. That's your 11th house. That can be meeting someone if you're listening in March, meeting somebody through friends, like a romantic connection. And when it goes into the 12th house in the sign of Pisces, you might be kind of like, hey, let's keep this to ourselves. I don't want anybody to be talking about us. It's none, it's nobody else's business, that kind of thing. And Venus in the 12th house can be great for being inspired creatively. Mars goes into Pisces on the 14th, and likewise, this is that place because Mars is your ruler and it's very active. It can indicate the type of actions somebody is taking, but they're taking it behind the scenes for some reason. So maybe this is an artistic project and you're putting a lot of effort into it, but you're not broadcasting it to other people because you want to be able to have confidence in it, or just you don't want to give away your ideas, maybe. This is great for yoga or other, like, I don't know how you say it's Qigong. I don't know, Qigong. But anything that has spirituality and movement attached to it. Hatha yoga is definitely one of those, or Tai Chi. This could be even more active. Mars can be very active. This could be your dream life is kind of revving up and is more active. And actually, speaking of dream life, well, you know what? I put the wrong thing here because I said a full moon in Pisces. There's no full moon in Pisces. It's actually in Libra. I don't know why I wrote that. So scratch that about dream life. I was going to add to that. The full moon on April 16th is at 26 degrees of Libra, and this is your opposite sign, opposite house. So that's the 7th house of committed partnerships. So this is at a later degree, so this might really be something coming to a head in a relationship. If you've been on and off again with somebody, you might be permanently off, but it would be a good thing because you're not, you're tired of the back and forth. Actually, with Venus in the 12th and the full moon in your relationship sector, that could be connected. So if you're having an affair, and maybe it's just an emotional affair, although Mars in that 12th house could be, physical, hubba hubba, hanky panky. But that can be the coup de grace to have this full moon in the 7th house, so it's like the final blow. But for other people, it can be a time of discovery. Even if I use the same scenario, and by the way, I'm not saying that this is true for some of you, but if, let's say, an Aries person is having an affair and they realize that that was empty, that they don't really love that person, so it doesn't really fulfill them, and it gives them more appreciation of their partner, even if there are problems. And sometimes I get people, I think they're a little bit taken aback and thinking that I'm making light of infidelity, and that's not true at all. The reason that I talk about these things in a rather flippant way is because they're just hypotheticals. I'm not assuming that anyone's doing it, but I'm not going to speak in a very, lecturing sort of way either, because, I don't know, that might be a little bit of a turnoff to people. So it can, work either way. It might be a time when, if you've been on the fence about whether or not to commit to somebody, that you go full force into it. And Aries people love freedom, so that can be, you might have been dating somebody for years and finally decide that you want to commit to that person. On the 19th, the sun goes into Taurus. So this year, it's on the 19th, and that date is important to me as an American because that was the beginning of the Civil War. The Revolutionary War, April 19th. And there have been some other events that have occurred on that date as well, probably not by accident. And so when we look at mundane astrology or the astrology of the world, who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, that situation with Pluto, which is the Pluto return of the United States. And the last time that this happened was when the Declaration of Independence was signed by the Founding Fathers. So, and by the way, this kicked off on 2/22/2222 or 2/22. It was on that date. So that is really wild. If you consider that an energy portal. But in any case, the sun, when it goes into Taurus, it goes into your second house of earned income. Now, you already have Uranus still in that house. I can't remember how long that's going to be there, for a few more years. Probably, I don't know if it's 2027 or something. I don't know. 26. But this can have different effects. With Uranus in this second house, you may find that you have quite a wild swings in your income level, but you might even be doing something with crypto, because Uranus is about electronics or technology, and that can have wild swings. I was reading somebody online talking about when they bought Bitcoin, or I think they were practically giving it away, and now it's like worth so much money each piece, and they're like, oh wow. But the point is that when the sun goes in that second house, then your attention, or your, I don't know if I call it focus, but you become that, you start to embody that. And that is that Taurian energy of making money and being practical and being connected with your finances. And again, you're going to have a new moon here on, actually it's a solar eclipse. What am I talking about? At the end of the month, which, by the way, now that I think about it, that solar eclipse is going to be a, I think it's called a black moon when it's the second one in the, second new moon in the month. It's funny, I didn't put it down here. Oh, well, I'll have to add it. So on the 29th, we have two transits. One is Mercury is going into Gemini. So Mercury is going into its own house, the third house, and that makes your mind very agile, nimble. You become very talkative. You may get in touch with your siblings, your aunts, your aunt or uncle, cousins, these extended family members. You may be getting involved with social media more than usual. And then when other planets go in there into Gemini, that will exacerbate or increase that activity. On the same day, Neptune goes retrograde. And Neptune is in Pisces, the sign that it rules, in that 12th house. And that can be a bit of a reality check. Neptune retrogrades can be a reality check. And this can be in the area of anything that has to do with your spiritual life. If you have found that you have been more into it as a whole, that you have been exploring your spirituality, you might get some kind of reality check. I'm not saying on that date, but in, while Neptune is retrograde here. And anything that kind of feels disillusioning is for your highest good. Because we never want to be too much in one direction where we're into something and we don't see that it has certain downsides, or it has contradictions or anything like that. I would say that Aries is a very, what would you call it, like a idealistic sign. And even though Aries can have a high degree of intelligence, there's still sometimes, I feel, is a naive quality, which can be exacerbated by Sun and Aries people in particular. If you have inner planets in Aries, like Pisces, such as Mercury in Pisces, where you tend to believe what you hear, or you tend to gravitate towards things that are more outlandish and kind of fantasy laden, because that is how you're natural escapist in that sense. So something may feel disillusioning, and you might have that disillusionment, but it's not going to be, as long as you don't just make it something, more than what it is, you'll be fine, and it actually will serve you. And the very next day, we have that solar eclipse in Taurus. So that will fall in the second house of earned income, and that could open up doors for you in terms of your earning ability. And it may come, maybe there's multiple income streams in your future. This is the launching pad, although we never should be attached to the date of eclipses, because they can manifest before or afterwards, but we could just say that time frame. So that can be very exciting for Aries people, because it might come out of nowhere. The fact that Uranus is here, and I believe, let me double check, Uranus is engaged here, because at the time of this eclipse, Uranus is 14 degrees, and this eclipse is at 10 degrees. So it's within orb. Okay, that's what I have for you, Aries. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, try my comprehensive double reading called the Deep Dive reading, which is an hour of natal chart analysis with an hour of transits, like the transits I'm giving here, but not just a month. This is going to encompass the next 12 months, and it will be specifically for your chart. This is more of a general reading. All right, the link is below for my website. Thank you for listening. Take care. Bye.